You don't fit the aesthetic, Denise. I'm sorry, but this is my day. I read that text 4 times standing in the paper goods aisle at Party City, a cart full of sage green tissue paper and rose gold balloons behind me. Balloons I had already paid $340 for. My hands went cold. My sister Vanessa had just uninvited me from the bridal shower I was hosting, the one I was paying for, 4 days before the event. Before we continue, please hit that like button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to see how far this story reaches. Now let's continue. I want you to understand something before I go further. My name is Denise Carter. I'm 31 years old. I work as a claims adjuster in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I have spent the last 11 weeks of my life planning my younger sister's bridal shower down to the last cloth napkin. I found the venue, a rooftop space downtown that ran $1,200 for the afternoon. I hired the caterer. I ordered a custom cake from a bakery in Noda that cost $410. I bought party favors, a photo backdrop, a champagne tower rental. All told, I had spent $3,680 of my own money because Vanessa said she was between paychecks after her wedding deposit. And now, standing in a Party City with a phone in my shaking hand, I was being told I didn't fit the aesthetic of a party I built with my own 2 hands. What does that even mean? I typed back, my thumb trembling against the screen. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. You know what it means, Denise. Don't make this weird. I didn't know what it meant. Not yet. But I was about to find out exactly what my sister thought of me, and exactly how far she was willing to go to erase me from her own story. Let me take you back. 11 weeks before that Party City aisle, Vanessa called me crying. Actual tears. The kind that make your voice crack. Denise, I need you. Mama can't do this. You know how her health is, and I don't have anybody else I trust. Please, you're the only one who does things right. I should tell you something about our family first. Our mother, Loretta, raised us alone in Gastonia after our father left when I was 9 and Vanessa was 5. I became the responsible one early, the one who signed permission slips, who worked 2 jobs through community college, who showed up. Vanessa became the golden one, the pretty one, the charming one, the one Mama never had the heart to discipline because she had such a hard time not having a father around, as if I hadn't had the exact same hard time. So when Vanessa asked me to plan her shower, something in my chest actually warmed. I thought, this is it. This is her finally seeing me. Of course, I told her. I'll handle everything. You're the best sister in the world, she said. I mean it. This shower is going to be about family, about us. I believed her. I want you to sit with that for a second. I believed her completely. I started a spreadsheet that night. Guest list, budget, vendor contacts, a Pinterest board titled Nessa's Day. I was already imagining the toast I'd give. I didn't know yet that somewhere in another group chat, one I wasn't part of, my name was already being discussed like a problem to be solved. 3 weeks into planning, I found out there was a group chat. It happened by accident. Vanessa's maid of honor, a woman named Brianna Coleman, texted me instead of Vanessa by mistake, a group thread meant for Nessa's bridal squad. The message read, "Should we tell her about the theme change, or just let Denise figure it out? Lol, she's so extra anyway." My stomach dropped. I stared at that message on my lunch break at work, sitting in my car in the parking garage, the engine off, my sandwich untouched in my lap. I called Vanessa immediately. What theme change, and what did Brianna mean by "let me figure it out"? There was a pause, a long one. Then Vanessa laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Oh my gosh, Denise, don't be so sensitive. We just decided to go for an editorial look. Very minimalist, very elegant, nothing crazy. You've been planning something behind my back. It's not behind your back, it's just, girl, it's a whole aesthetic thing. You wouldn't get it." Those words, wouldn't get it. I hung on to them because something about the way she said it felt rehearsed, like she'd practiced it, like this wasn't the first time she'd said those exact words about me to someone else. I didn't push further that day. I told myself I was being paranoid, that grief and old sibling wounds were making me see slights that weren't there. I was wrong to let it go. That phone call was the first crack in a wall that was about to come crashing down entirely, and I had no idea that Brianna's slip-up was only the beginning of what my sister and her circle had actually been saying about me for weeks. 2 days after the group chat incident, Vanessa called me sounding sweet again. Too sweet. "Hey, so the venue needs the full deposit by Friday, or we lose the date. Can you just front it? I'll Venmo you back when my wedding fund settles." I want to be honest with you. I knew, somewhere in my gut, that I probably wouldn't see that money again, but I sent $1,200 anyway, because that's who I've always been in this family, the one who covers the gap, who makes the sacrifice, who trusts that it'll balance out eventually. It didn't balance out, not that week, not ever. Over the following month, the requests kept coming. The caterer needed a deposit. I paid $600. The bakery needed payment in full up front because it was a rush order, $410. Party favors, a professional photographer for 2 hours, a custom neon sign that said, Mrs. Bennett in cursive rose gold script, Vanessa's fiancé's last name, a name I paid $180 to have wired to a stranger to make glow. Every single time, Vanessa promised she'd pay me back. Every single time, something came up. The venue for the actual wedding just went up in price. David's parents backed out of paying for the DJ. I'm just really stressed, Denise. Can we not talk about money right now? By week 9, I'd spent $3,680 and received exactly $0 back. My savings account, the one I'd built up for a down payment on a condo, had a hole in it the size of my sister's entire bridal shower. And still, I told myself it would be worth it, because I pictured myself at that shower, standing next to her, both of us laughing, Mama crying happy tears in the corner. I was buying a moment. I just didn't know yet that the moment had already been written without me in it. 4 days before the shower, I saw a photo on Instagram that stopped my heart cold. It was posted by Brianna Coleman, a mock-up flyer for the official shower photo wall, professionally designed, listing the hosted by credits at the bottom. It read, "Hosted with love by Brianna Coleman and the Bennett Bridal Squad." My name wasn't on it, not anywhere. I sat with that image for a long time before I texted Vanessa. I wanted to be calm. I wanted to be the reasonable one, the one who doesn't blow things up, because that's who I've always tried to be in this family. "Hey, I saw the flyer Brianna posted. My name isn't on it as a host." Was that intentional? The 3 dots appeared almost instantly this time, like she'd been waiting. "Denise, don't make this a whole thing. Brianna designed it. I didn't even look at it that closely. I paid for almost this entire event, Vanessa. Every vendor, every deposit. I think my name being left off a flyer is worth asking about." Another pause, and then the message that started everything. "Okay, honestly, since you're pushing this, the girls feel like the shower has a certain look, and I think it'd be easier if you just enjoyed it from home this time. You don't fit the aesthetic. I'm sorry, but this is my day." I read it standing in my kitchen, phone shaking in my hand. My chest felt like it had been hollowed out with a spoon. 11 weeks, $3,600. Every Saturday spent picking centerpieces and calling caterers. And I was being told I didn't fit a look, that I, her own sister, was an aesthetic problem to be quietly removed before the pictures went up. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat down at my kitchen table and started making a list. Not a guest list this time. A different kind of list entirely. I needed to know what aesthetic actually meant, so I called Brianna directly. I'd never had her number, but I found it in an old event confirmation email from the caterer, CC'd on a thread about seating. She picked up nervous, like she already knew why I was calling. "Brianna, Be honest with me. What does aesthetic mean? Say it plain." There was a long silence, then quietly, almost like she felt bad. "Denise, I'm not trying to be messy, but—" Vanessa said the shower photos needed to look a certain way for her wedding blog feature. She said you'd stand out because you're plus size, and she wanted everybody in the photos to look uniform, slim, matching. She said it wouldn't look right next to you. I sat in silence for what felt like a full minute. Not because I hadn't suspected it. Some part of me had, in the pit of my stomach, since that first group chat slip, but hearing it confirmed, hearing my own sister had erased me from her wedding blog feature because of my body, was a different kind of wound entirely. She said all that? She said more than that, honestly. She said you always try to be the center of attention by playing helper, and that this was her chance to finally have the day look how she wanted, without you photobombing it. Playing helper, 11 weeks of my life, $3,680 of my savings, reduced to playing helper. I thanked Brianna, hung up the phone, and sat very still in my kitchen. I want you to know I wasn't thinking about revenge in that moment. I was thinking about every birthday I'd paid for, every rent gap I'd covered when Vanessa was between jobs, every time Mama had said, "You're just built different, you don't need as much attention as your sister." I was thinking about a lifetime of being useful and never being wanted. And somewhere in that stillness, something in me finally, quietly, snapped into place. I called every vendor the next morning. The venue first. "Hi, this is Denise Carter. I made the deposit and full payment on the rooftop reservation for this Saturday, under the name Bennett Bridal Shower. I need to cancel." The woman on the phone paused. "Ma'am, that reservation is fully paid and non-refundable per your contract, but you are listed as the primary account holder, so yes, I can process the cancellation." I felt something like power for the first time in 11 weeks. Next, the caterer. "This is Denise Carter. I'm canceling the catering order for Saturday. I understand the deposit is forfeited, that's fine." Then the bakery. I asked them to hold the cake instead of delivering it, told them I'd pick it up myself. The photographer, the neon sign vendor, the rental company for the champagne tower, every single one, canceled or redirected, because every single contract had my name and my card on it. Not Vanessa's, not Brianna's, mine. My phone rang 40 minutes later. Vanessa, screaming before I even said hello. "The venue just called David's mother saying the reservation was canceled. What did you do?" "I canceled the party I paid for, Vanessa." "You can't do that. This is my shower." "It was never your shower, Vanessa. It was my money, my time, my name on every contract. You didn't invite me to something I paid for and then told me I don't fit the aesthetic of my own investment. So no, there is no shower, not one you didn't earn." She was crying now, real tears or performance tears. I genuinely couldn't tell anymore. "You're supposed to be the bigger person. You're supposed to let this go for the sake of family." I said something then that I'd been carrying for 20 years and never once let myself say out loud. "I have been the bigger person my entire life, Vanessa. I am done being big enough to disappear so you can look small and pretty next to me." I hung up the phone. My hands were shaking, but for the first time in 11 weeks, my chest didn't feel hollow. It felt like mine again. Mama called within the hour, and I already knew whose side she'd take before she said a word. "Denise, how could you embarrass your sister like this, 4 days before her shower? Family doesn't do this to family." "Mama, did Vanessa tell you why she uninvited me?" Silence. "She told Brianna I didn't fit the aesthetic because of my weight. She called 11 weeks of my planning playing helper. I spent $3,680 of my own savings, Mama, my condo money, and she was going to let me find out from an Instagram flyer that my own name wasn't even on the event I paid for." I heard my mother exhale slowly, the way she does when she's run out of an argument but isn't ready to admit it. "That still doesn't mean you cancel her whole shower." "You're right, it doesn't, but it means I'm allowed to stop paying for people who are ashamed of me. That conversation didn't end in reconciliation. It ended in my mother saying she needed time to process and hanging up. But something shifted in me during that call, a realization that the family pattern I'd been drowning in wasn't an accident. It was a system, one where I funded the show and Vanessa got the spotlight, and anyone who questioned it, even Mama, got quietly reclassified as the problem. The real earthquake came 2 days later, when David, Vanessa's fiancé, called me directly, a number I didn't even know I had saved from an old vendor thread. He wasn't calling to yell. He was calling because Brianna had shown him screenshots, and he had questions of his own about what kind of woman he was about to marry. "Denise, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." David Bennett's voice was steady but strained, the voice of a man trying to hold a version of his future together while it cracked in his hands. "I found out Vanessa's been telling people the wedding fund is tight because of family emergencies. Is that true? Or was some of that money going toward the shower you were paying for?" I told him everything, the deposits I fronted with promises of repayment that never came, the neon sign, the caterer, the venue, the Instagram flyer with my name missing, what Brianna told me about the aesthetic, and the words playing helper. There was a long silence on the line. Then David said something I didn't expect. "She told me you offered to pay for all of it because you insisted, like you were being pushy about it. She said you wouldn't let her plan her own shower and that it was getting embarrassing." I sat with that lie for a moment, feeling something colder than anger settle into my chest. The specific betrayal of being framed as the villain in a story where I was quietly bleeding money for a sister who was actively hiding me from her own wedding blog photos. "David, I have every receipt, every Venmo request I sent that was ignored, every text where she promised to pay me back. I'll send you all of it, because I'm done being painted as the difficult one in a story where I was the only one who kept my word." I sent him screenshots that night, 11 weeks of financial receipts, time-stamped, undeniable. David called back an hour later, his voice different this time, quieter. "Denise, I'm sorry. I didn't know it went this deep. I need to have a real conversation with Vanessa before this wedding goes any further." I didn't ask what that conversation would be. I didn't need to. I finally understood that the truth, once it's fully seen, doesn't need my help to do its work. The bridal shower never happened. Not that Saturday, not rescheduled, not in any form. David postponed the wedding 2 months later, publicly citing the need for more time, though Brianna eventually told me privately that the real reason was a string of financial dishonesty he'd uncovered that went far beyond the shower. Debts, secret credit cards, promises made to multiple family members that were never kept. Mama came around eventually, in her own slow way. She showed up at my apartment 3 weeks after everything fell apart, with a container of her banana pudding and an apology that wasn't perfect but was real. I spent so long trying to keep peace with the daughter who needed managing, I forgot to protect the one who never gave me a reason to worry. "I'm sorry, Denise. I used the money I'd get back from disputing 2 of the deposits with my bank to finally put a down payment on that condo, a 1-bedroom off South Boulevard with big windows and a kitchen I decorate exactly the way I want, for exactly nobody's aesthetic but my own. I hung string lights on my balcony last month and had 4 friends over, women who've never once made me feel like I needed to shrink to fit in a photograph. Vanessa and I don't speak much these days. She sent one message, months later, "I never meant for it to go this far." I didn't respond. Some apologies aren't really apologies. They're requests to go back to a system that only ever worked for one of us. I think about that Party City aisle sometimes, standing there with a cart full of tissue paper and a broken heart. I didn't know it then, but that was the last day I ever paid to be uninvited from my own life. These days, I only build things I'm actually welcome in, and it turns out that's an aesthetic too, one built on self-respect and it fits me perfectly. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me in the comments what you think happened after the ending. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you soon.